Hello everyone, the December Review here, back again with a movie review. Today, we have the recent Netflix original, The Devil All the Time. The film stars Spider-Man, the next Batman, John Connor, Alice Kingsley, Pennywise, and is produced by Donnie Darko. So of course, it's a backwoods, God-fearing, serial killer, crazy, violent drama set post-war in the 50s and 60s. Let's check it out.
You already do enough for all of us. Where's it doing you much good, huh?
The film follows Tom Holland playing Arvin Eugene Russell, son to Willard, the father with major PTSD and religion issues, and mom Charlotte, the well-mannered waitress who becomes ill with cancer. After he loses both in two unfortunate ways, he goes on to live with his grandmother Emma and new stepsister Lenora. It doesn't take long for tragedy to strike again, and Arvin finds himself on the run for the revenge murder of the town's preacher. Along the way, he crosses paths with a corrupt sheriff and a couple disguised as travelers who actually like to pick up hitchhikers and brutally destroy them. Hilarity ensues.
Serial murderers aren't the most trusting kind. Carl brought the additional quality of being maniacally paranoid.
Well, that plot outline is just the main thread that comes together as this 138-minute film unravels. It spends a lot of its early time jumping around different characters and years, planting the seeds for the second half of the film. We meet multiple people in various stages of their lives. The film opens with Willard in war, needing to put down a sergeant in the battlefield who is skinned alive and then hung on a cross. This would go on to morph Willard's head as the religious undertones help create a world of anger, paranoia, faith, and despair. He passes along his hard-knock values and strict prayer opinions to Arvin. Scenes play out such as Willard beating up some local troublemakers that shape Arvin's next chapter in life, as does the death of his mother. While she was sick, Arvin and Willard performed lengthy prayer sessions in hope that God would heal her. After she passed, Willard took his own life, setting up the religious skepticism in Arvin's new world. Also during the first half, we meet Helen and Roy Lafferty. Together, they have a daughter named Lenora. Roy is the local preacher in town who begins to think his power is real. He foolishly, in a moment of terror for the audience, murders Helen thinking he can resurrect her from the dead. Once he realizes his mistake and needs to get away, he crosses paths with Carl and Sandy, the previously mentioned hitchhiker serial killers. They lure their victims in with thoughts of seduction, then take them out, all the while snapping photos like some twisted scrapbook club in hell. It doesn't go well for Roy. Sandy herself has quite the backstory. Not happy in the cycle she is stuck in with Carl, and at times coming across a bit of the victim herself, trapped in this situation. Well, she is the sister to Lee Bodecker, the corrupt local sheriff who is on the verge of running for re-election and needs all the good news he can get. Sandy isn't good news. Lee is also being shook down by some mafia-style men who control him. The sheriff is feeling a bit backed into a corner and is ready to take action. So, back to Arvin. He goes on to live with Emma, who has also taken Lenora in. The pair form a solid brother and sister bond. Arvin sticks up for her as some local school bullies take aim, setting up a beatdown foreshadowed earlier as Arvin looks to end the harassment. A new preacher sets up shop, Reverend Preston Teagarden, played by Robert Pattinson. This guy is bad news, as he befriends Lenora, resulting in her pregnancy. Using God as a way to shame her, Lenora takes her own life, setting up the final arc of the film, where all of these worlds and people come together.
We can talk all about it.
Go ahead and talk.
Okay, so with all that said, there is a lot to like about the film. A film which tries real hard for you not to like it. The acting is excellent. 90% of the people we are spending time with are those I would put in the bad category, so trying to choose an ally is tough, but I have to give credit to the actors that carry the narrative even when you can't find a reason to root for most of them. Bill Skarsgård goes all out as the tough love father. He adores his family and will protect them at all costs, but the war has left a boulevard of broken dreams in his head. His eventual suicide isn't so much shocking, but considering the odd way the scene was set up, coming back from the mother's funeral and having a pie left behind as a gift gave the moment a surreal feeling. Tom Holland does great work here as well. Playing the grown-up Arvin, he inherits his father's teachings, while also leery of the world which brought his dad to his eventual demise. Pattinson chews up the scenery as the scumbag preacher, and Eliza Scanlon gives Lenora soul, and her eventual dismissal from the film left me shook for a moment. It's a devastating scene. We spend a lot of time with Riley Keough, who plays Sandy. She also gets a lot of different emotions to work through. She does a great job pulling back some of the webs you have come to expect from a serial killer in film. She wants to get out of her current situation but is trapped. The audience eventually waits for that moment where she is able to turn the tide on Carl and escape this lifestyle. It's no easy feat to pull off, but Riley gets you there with some great work. The film is on the rough side. It's angry, mean, and it isn't moving the camera away from any of the results of its actions. If that's not your thing, stay far away from this one. Once the film comes together and starts playing out with its backstory to play with, it becomes a bit more standard thriller, but nonetheless still interesting to see how it would all play out. There isn't much left standing at the end of it all, but the back section is a fun ride.
That ain't no preacher. He's as bad as they got on the damn radio.
The slightly non-linear setup was distracting at first. I'm all in favor of this type of storytelling. Films like Pulp Fiction, 21 Grams, and Memento stand out as excellent examples on how this works great. But here, the character distinction wasn't set up enough, so when we did move around, I found myself wondering who I was watching for a moment. This primarily was in the first section, but it was enough of a distraction that hurt my ability to focus on the story. Wait, who's that again? Came to mind a few times. It eventually evens out, and I get why it went that way. The payoff is there, but the setup can be a bit clunky. Much like the other recent book adaptation Netflix has released, I'm thinking of Ending Things, the movie feels like a page-turner. Thinking of, though, had much different things to say and was shooting for and landing on a higher scale of cinematic brilliance. The Devil All the Time feels more like a chapter it reads from. And I won't say I was bored during the film, but my mind was certainly wandering during the early moments. It gets much better as it gets moving. The film wants to hit on its points, so when some of them come back around again, it sticks. I'm sure a second viewing will alleviate a lot of that feeling, but nonetheless, I had them on the first go-around. There also isn't a lot of time to come up for air. The film doesn't have many light-hearted moments that allow you to breathe for a second, then carry on with the carnage. Now look, I'm not expecting Happy Gilmore, but it's so hell-bent on its path, one or two smirks would help offset things.
This was your daddy's. Brought back from the war.
Overall, The Devil All the Time is a study in sin and the parental teachings passed along through generations. The acting is superb, the storyline is interesting, and the ending is very well done. The multiple storylines can be a bit much at first, but they settle down and you are left with a rough and violent tale. Think Goodfellas, but in a 50s backwoods preaching style and minus any of the humor. The Devil All the Time plays it straight and is 100% correct in its namesake. I give it 3 out of 5 stars. Definitely worth a watch if you don't mind heavy themes and imagery. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel and let me know your thoughts on the film in the comments below.